Hello, YouTubers. Um, the installment for today is about forgiveness. And forgiveness is something that um, is not always easy to do, and sometimes very hard to do. Um, but ultimately, forgiving and forgiveness is so important to us as human beings. Um, and as people who are in relationships or who have been in relationships. There's a very good quote, life becomes easier when you learn to accept an apology you never got. And that's by Robert Brault. Again, life becomes easier when you learn to accept an apology you never got. That's a very powerful message and a very powerful quote, I do believe. Um, I am a person of faith. Um, I am an independent Catholic, um, and the church I belong to is an independent Catholic church. Uh, Very accepting of the LGBT community, of everyone, because ultimately God created us in love, and God doesn't make junk. And so we are all truly loved. Um, and so part of loving is also forgiving. Forgiving things that hurt you and things that you have said or done that have hurt your partner or someone who's close to you, or maybe somebody just off the street. Um, Sometimes we just have bad days, days when we just particularly don't feel the greatest. And sometimes, because of our human nature, we say things um, because they come from a place of pain or hurt. Uh, and so I encourage um, everyone, to really examine your conscience, examine your life, and think of the times when you have been personally hurt by word, by deed, by something somebody said, wrote, or did to you. And I ask you to consider forgiving that person. Um, Forgiving them in your heart and letting that go. Um, as I say, forgiveness is one of the easiest things that we can do, and it's one of the hardest things that we can do. But life does become easier when you learn to accept an apology that you never get. And that is ultimately love, and acceptance and forgiveness is when you feel that you've been wronged, when you feel that you have been hurt, when you feel that you've been abandoned, or times when you feel that a friend who was supposed to be a friend wasn't there for you. And I ask forgiveness for anyone who I have hurt in my life's journey. And I would ask that person to forgive me, or those persons to forgive me, or those people to forgive me. As I say, I'm human. I say things, I do things that may not always be up to the standards that I set for myself, and may not always be how I really feel. As I say, we say things in anger, and we say things in the heat and passion of the moment. it's very easy to fall into the tendency of lashing out at people. And we tend to lash at those who we love the most. And why that is, I don't really know why that is. We hurt the ones that we love the most. I guess sometimes it's just because they're there and we can. And that's selfishness. That's selfishness. And so what I would encourage everyone to do is to think of a person or an event in your life where you never actually got a verbal apology and you never got to hear or see an apology from someone. But imagine that you did. Imagine that you did get that apology, that forgiveness. And I would say to you, I would encourage you to turn that around and send that back, to apologize in your heart for things that have happened in your life, things that have happened in your relationship. And if that person's not around or you're not able to talk to that person, forgive them. Forgive them and forgive yourself. Because ultimately, that's what holds so much pain in our lives, is when we hold on to anger, when we hold on to ultimately hate. And all that boils down to is fear. The fear of letting go, the fear of stepping out of our comfort zone or paradigm that we may live in. But one of the lessons that I've learned in my 50 years on this earth is that forgiveness is so very, very important. Through forgiveness comes the opportunity to love and to allow love to come into your heart. If you hold on to resentments, if you hold on to hatred, if you hold on to resentment, that will wall your heart up. That will prevent you from being the person that attracts the kind of love that you want in your life. So, my installment today is forgiveness. Forgive the one or the people that have hurt you, and in turn, pretend that you have got an apology from them, and then let it go. Let it go. And let it be. Just let it be. And I think that you will find that life will become much easier for you when you can take up that practice of forgiving and learning to accept an apology that you never received. Pretend that you did, and then let that beef go, let that hatred go, let that anger go, let that negativity go, and let your heart become open. Let it be open to love, let it be open to acceptance, let it be open to so many positive elements of life. So that's my message, and that's my installment for this evening. So I'm kind of catching up, folks, on not posting for a couple of days. So again, forgive, accept, let go, and forget. Move on. Negativity can be one of the worst things that you can have in your life. It can drag you down, it can hold you down, and it ultimately can block off your heart from being open and being loving to another person and to the world, to all those around you, and to the world ultimately. So forgive. it truly is a blessing. Take care, YouTube. Talk to you. Bye now.